and
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the Synthetic Native Podcast. On this episode, I'm going to speak with Michael Fullman, the Executive Creative Director of VT Pro Design. And this is going to be another one of those episodes where I ask you to go on YouTube and look up VT Pro or go to their website. I don't know if it's VT Pro or VTProDesign.com. I think it's VTPro.com. Either way, look them up. I'll put some links in the description so that if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, you can just look at the description and click a link. I think that you will see that they do some incredibly impressive production work and engineering and design on the work that they do, and it will give you some good context. They've worked on some of my favorite brands and artists. They worked on Blade Runner 2049, doing promotional immersive experiences for that movie. They have worked with Cascade and a bunch of different musical artists, and basically they've done really, really impressive things. Without further ado, here is my discussion with Michael Fullman of VT Pro. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Synthetic Native Podcast. I'm here with Michael Fullman of VT Pro. And I don't think I will do VT Pro justice if I try to summarize what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and let you do that, Michael.
hey, I'm Michael Fullman. I'm the creative director of VT Pro Design, and we are a interactive technology design team here in Los Angeles. We play around with a lot of different types of tech and also production design, and also kind of how all the different process works together, kind of from conception to completion of an entire project.
Cool. And so I guess I'll give a little bit of background of how I found out about VT Pro. There is basically a art and music festival in Houston called Day for Night, and I've been going there for the past couple of years. And they get a really broad range of musical artists there, ranging from like Aphex Twin to Lil B to Cardi B to the Butthole Surfers. It's a very broad range. But then they also focus a lot on doing really cool light installations, art installations, of which VT Pro made one at last year's festival, 2017, called Telestron. And I guess, Michael, I guess you probably worked really directly on this project.
Yeah. So Telestron was a fun process because we got really, really involved into robotics in the last 2 years. I've been doing a lot of development with taking refurbished KUKA robots and playing with them. And I started as a lighting designer, like 17 years ago, and in kind of like my career and also in our design, everything that we really do is really focused on light. And then more recently, everything's been really focused on kinetic motion. And Telestron was a really good example of just kind of everything we do as a company, because it's custom engineering, it's custom electronics, it's creative design and storytelling, it's lighting design, it's everything kind of all represented in one piece. That was our kind of blowout for the end of the year. I started actually working on it 10 months prior to it. And kind of gradually over time, we've included more and more team members as we kind of moved through the year. And in the end, it was a really, really great collaboration of everybody.
Yeah. I think it's also worth mentioning, I forgot to mention that you guys have done work for Blade Runner 2049, for various folks at Coachella, a bunch of different music artists, Dram, Party Next Door, Linkin Park, Deadmau5, Cascade, Martin Garrix, people like Bud Light, Alienware.
Yeah,
Some pretty big names.
we cross a lot of different boundaries. We work a lot in kind of the hate to say it, but like boutique design needs for a lot of corporate clients. But then at the same time, we also have a big background in live touring music. So we've done a lot of that as well.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, so I guess, is it hard for your clients to find other companies that do the things you do, like really complicated, like kinetic, um, and light based, art installations?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really, really talented, great people in our industry, but it's a really small industry. There are, there's definitely a need for it, and also a big desire for it across the realm, and from our corporate clients to our more artistic based clients. And over the last couple of years, we've seen that market grow a lot. And like I said, there's a ton of really great, super talented companies out there. We're really happy to be considered one of them. But it's definitely a real niche market with not a lot of people in it.
Yeah. Would you sum up what your typical client is? I guess it's like somewhat split between music artists type of clients and just corporate ventures.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like for example, you know, a company will approach us and say, we want to build this kind of interactive user experience, or even part of the time they'll come to us and say, we want to build an interactive user experience. We have no idea what it is. So then we'll start working with general concept, if it's there already, and developing an execution plan for it, and inventing technologies that don't exist, or repurposing a lot of the stuff that we do already, or finding new ways of envisioning it. Or if there isn't a concept already, we'll start from the very beginning, work with the client hand in hand on developing that concept, and then developing an execution plan for it as well. One thing that's kind of different about us is that we do have the creative teams in house. We have engineering teams in house. We have electrical teams in house. We've got lighting design teams. We've got animation, 3D. We have all of this directly under one roof, that we can kind of pull from as resources. So, sometimes even some of our projects start with, what's the craziest idea you have right now, and we'll just kind of go down the road of exploring it.
Yeah. So do you ever run into, that's actually just impossible? Like, is that something
You
that
know,
happens?
it's really, I think one thing that's really cool about technology these days, especially in the time we live in, is that a lot of things just aren't impossible anymore. You can always find a way. There's realistic constraints on like safety, but also it's time and money. If you've got a good schedule and also a budget to support it, like you can always find a creative way of doing it.
Yeah. So I guess people out there, if you have enough money, VT Pro will make it happen.
Not
Um,
even if you have enough money, if you got a crazy idea, we like to make stuff happen.
so yeah, I guess, like with Day for Night, how did that come about? Is that something where they approached you, or how does that work?
So actually, we had a piece there last year also, and
Oh, which one was
it was
it?
Bardo, the giant light installation with like 150 moving lights in it. That was kind of over by
Oh,
it was
nice.
inside, and it was tracking users through the space. And so actually, I think it was right after the first year of Day for Night, I saw it on Instagram, and I actually reached out to them. I DM'd the Day for Night Instagram account and just said, "Hey, would love to be involved." And I got in touch with Alex, the creative director and curator, for all the art. And I just said, "Hey, we'd love to do a piece." We pitched a concept for our piece the first year, and um, we went through kind of the phases with them, and they said they'd love to have us, and we came out and did a piece. And then after last year experiencing Day for Night for the first time, just kind of knew that we really wanted to be involved again. And I told Alex before we left that he's going to get something from us for the next year. And one thing that's really fun with Day for Night, and especially the pieces we do add, those are totally, it's totally us. We've developed the concept, we build it. It's no forward-facing client goals for it whatsoever. It's just us kind of playing with an idea and having fun. And this year we definitely kind of went all out.
Yeah, it seemed like it. I think everybody in the room for that for Telestron was always like pretty taken aback. I know people were going in, third and fourth and fifth times to watch it over and over too. So that's really cool. Um, is there any message behind Telestron? Anything that people should kind of get from that, or is it sort of just a sensory experience?
I mean, it's kind of interesting question because in like our design process over the years, we've always wanted to tell a story in live shows and stuff like that. Then kind of over time, just find myself especially getting pissed off that no one understood the story. But
Yeah.
the thing is that the after a while, I kind of realized that I have to let go of that, and also it's not really about the audience understanding the direct story all the way through line for line. It's really what it is about developing a story for our own creative process. And then, it's kind of the great thing about theater, that everybody kind of walks away with a different experience. It's not a movie theater where you're looking directly at, the camera is always telling you directly where you need to look. In theater, your eyes can wander the stage. You can watch certain characters and watch for, small detail that not necessarily everyone's catching. And so everyone's getting a different perspective from it. Telestron it was based on the diurnal cycle, the entire writing behind it, and which is basically representing the four seasons and also the four compass point directions. And Telestron was actually in Greek mythology this festival where God, I'm mad at myself I don't remember exact location, but um, the was a it was a festival that they would go and actually celebrate the changing of the diurnal cycle and through going through this cycle. So it was a sacred ritual in a space, and we kind of use that as our driving factor behind it all. But being actually out at the festival and talking to people about it, it was really interesting, seeing people's reaction and also hearing their feedback to the relationships that they felt between the two robots and also kind of what they were doing in the space. And it was cool to see the specific moments that certain people gravitated towards, and that others, for others, were totally different. So yeah, I think that using this deep writing that we did on this particular project to kind of guide our process was really it's one of the most valuable pieces. And then seeing what everyone else walked away with was great.
Yeah, cool. Did you like? I think you can, even if it's not spelled out for you, I think you can feel that there's a lot of thought behind it. It feels like there's something going on when these two giant robotic arms are, interacting. I don't even know how to describe it really. Um, and since they are giant robotic arms, can you talk about what are the engineering challenges of this installation in particular?
Yeah, I mean, it's oh my God, it's crazy. Working with robots is really interesting because I mean they're machines that are designed to do one thing over and over and over again, repeatedly, and sometimes just the programming challenges of doing them in a very basic way is very methodical. And so we actually animate the robots in Maya, and then export those paths of motion directly to the robot controllers, and then we're playing back the path. One thing though that you learn, especially the members of our team have really, really gotten a great handle on, is that there are certain nuances that the robots are doing while they're solving the path and finding out different ways of moving and getting from point A to point B. We really dictate all of it that it does, but there's certain things that we know the robots can't do acceleration wise and load limit wise, and everything that we've just learned through our process of working with them over time. We've got a really great system now for transporting them and getting them up and everything. But then, of course, we put the geometry on the end of the robots, which had a whole bunch of internal electronics. And I think one of the biggest challenges we had was just not ripping all the cables the out of the piece on the end of the robot during the performances. We actually ripped it out on each robot while we were there setting up, and we ripped them out in our shop too before. And then the day before the festival opened, we redid one of them, and it ran the entire fest, which was amazing.
Yeah, there is. There's a few moments where the two robotic arms are shining sort of a beam of light directly into the other's beam of light, I guess you would say, and it just creates this really solid white beam. Um, is there anything particularly difficult about that, or does it just look really cool?
Yeah, I mean, actually, we were able to average the motion there. So we can actually we do a lot of lighting programming, and when you're setting basically a focus palette for how the lights are understanding positionally where they are, same way you would do it in a concert, we were able to average the positions to 3 steps between. Um, and one thing that we really didn't know about when we were first building it and testing it is how well the motors on these lights would actually hold through getting flung around through the air by these giant robots. The robots are always going to hit the same point every single time with sub-millimeter accuracy. Um, but the but the moving lights are definitely a little bit more of a less complicated, less sophisticated machine, and so they were actually able to keep up through the entire process. It was pretty incredible, actually.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Um, I also really enjoyed. I don't know if you saw it, the disco ball
Yeah, Kyle
installation.
McDonald's piece was really cool, and really
I'm sorry, who is
it's
it?
Kyle McDonald, and
Oh,
yeah,
right.
uh, and yeah, the way they do it too is really crazy. It's like a reverse UV mapping, super complicated system, but it's really cool, really cool.
Right, right. Me and my friend, who's also an engineer, we're trying to kind of reverse engineer it. I'm guessing that they're using some sort of like computer vision to map like where the various lights are actually ending up being projected. So it seemed really crazy. Um, can you talk about, like, speaking of other pieces? Can you talk about some of VT Pro's other pieces that I guess stand out to you as like being your personal favorites or landmarks in how you work?
Oh yeah, I mean, like Telestron was huge for us. It was really, like I said, really exemplary piece of like all the strengths of our team and all everyone that works so hard. Um, some of our other pieces that I think we've just a couple that have done recently and aren't public yet have been really amazing. And then over time, uh, one of we've done some really fun work with a really close friend and collaborator, the director G Monk, who's also worked on this project with us, and we did a big sculptural piece for Santa Monica Pier concert series and True Card a number of years ago. That was a ton of electronics and organization. Really pretty interactive piece. Uh, it's funny because we sometimes are spending so much time working on some of these things, and when they kind of finish and actually happen, you're so exhausted from the entire process. But there's a ton that have been, we feel like we fully get to realize the kind of our creative process on it. Our project for Blade Runner Comic Con last year was also one of those because we got to really spend enough time going through the entire process on that one and kind of seeing it to the end, which is always really nice.
Yeah, I was really excited by that and by Blade Runner, the film in general. Did you see the movie?
Oh yeah, a couple times.
Are you okay? Cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was in collaboration with what are they called? Another firm.
Giant Spoon.
And what do they do? That you like? How does that? How do y'all complement each other
Well, they're like
exactly?
the agency on record, in a situation like that. So we were working with them in direct with Alcon Entertainment to build the entire thing, and they brought the initial project to us, and then we worked with them on the entire creative process and developing it from point to point to point, and then also we do all the execution.
Okay, cool. Let me get a little bit more esoteric and kind of ask you, what do you feel is sort of the role of art in people's lives? I mean, do you see what you do as art? I guess first of all, I don't want to
No, yeah,
mischaracterize.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I kind of see what you're doing as and similar things like it and virtual reality experiences and things like that is sort of, in some ways, I don't want to disparage older forms of creativity, but it's in some ways kind of the future of art in a way, and creative experiences. So I'm just wondering what you see as kind of the role of this in people's lives.
I think that there's a couple different ways of kind of looking at it. I think we are really, really fortunate as a company that we get to explore our own crazy ideas. And I think that art is a process of exploration, both individually and like if you're in kind of a collective group like this. I think one thing that it really kind of, I want it to do, especially the pieces that we do, is I want it to inspire other people to explore their own ideas also. Because, I mean, a lot of us come from backgrounds where we, you know, weren't necessarily thinking that 10 years ago we would be in this place doing the kind of awesome stuff that we are allowed to do. I mean, I definitely didn't know that it was like a possibility when I was in even high school. So I think that, opening it up, then being people getting to see, go to something like Day for Night and see all this incredible stuff that people are doing and building and thinking about and being completely weird and trying a crazy idea. I hope that, the stuff that we do and, the other artists kind of in our field all, I think I like to think that our pieces are hopefully inspiring other people to go out and try something completely out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. What do you think about like public art things like sculptures and parks and stuff like that? Like, could you imagine like a permanent sort of VT Pro like installation somewhere
Yeah.
in public
Yeah,
space?
absolutely. I mean, I think there's, we definitely want our stuff to always inspire. I think that sometimes in public spaces, it's more about beautification of that space than it necessarily is anything else. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely, I mean, we have some permanent installs around, and it's always interesting to see how those things kind of age and how people interact with them over time. It's definitely something we've would love to even see. I think it'd be cool to see a piece like Telestron, permanently installed that a lot of people could go see.
Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of begs the question, like, how much maintenance does something like Telestron take? I guess, like, can you just leave it running for a week or?
We probably could actually. The robots are designed to do that, and just to work. So they don't have a lot of needs. The other parts of it are a little bit more complicated. And so, I mean, I definitely see a piece like that having the ability of kind of living on.
Yeah. Can you talk about? You said you have a lot of different kinds of people at VT Pro in terms of like different roles. Um, what is there? Some common thread that you see with the people that y'all bring onto the team, or uh, what do you look for in people to work
I
with?
mean, a lot of it is really just kind of, first of all, a desire to push your own boundaries and also a desire to kind of be a generalist across the board. I think that it's really interesting for people to kind of get out there and also be willing to experience new things and kind of new ways of doing stuff. But then also, a lot of our team members all have a whole bunch of different strengths, not necessarily in the one thing that they do. A lot of us come from a live production background, and you got to be pretty quick and on your toes, and especially willing to kind of roll with fast changes. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we look for. And also
Okay, so you
vibes.
guys,
You want to have somebody great to work with. So you want to enjoy the people you work with.
yeah, yeah. How many people are at VT Pro?
We have 35 employees.
Okay, and does that veer more on like designers or more on engineers?
It's kind of split, honestly, between the
Split.
two.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so who runs, like, I guess, who's programming um the robotics, and like what kind of skills do they need? Are they need to know Maya? Are
Yeah,
there particular
especially
scripting
our
languages?
3D team is actually the one programming the robots. So it's all kind of
Okay.
animation based.
Okay. Cool. I'm curious. You've worked with Deadmau5 and Cascade. What what did you do for them? Is it just, I guess, like a light show? Are you responsible for Deadmau5's crazy? I know he used to have like a cube with some crazy robotics around it. Is that what you worked on?
No, we produced content for him for one of his for a run of shows. But Cascade was full production design. And that's kind of a full show design from kind of top to bottom.
Okay. I don't actually recall. I know Cascade performed Day for Night. I don't recall what his light show or his production was, because I'm not sure that I even caught him. But did you guys work on that?
No, we specifically did his Coachella set, his Sunset headline slot. And God, what year was that? 2015, I think. And that was kind of top to bottom show design and direction.
Cool. Okay. Well, Michael, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you think would be interesting?
I'm curious, what were some of your favorite pieces of Day for Night?
I of course really liked Telestron. I really liked the disco ball one, just because it is just such a it's like one you could just hang out under,
Yeah.
and people were hanging out under and falling asleep under. Just a good vibe with that one. I'm kind of a sucker for any of the, light and sound synced up kind of installations, I guess. I know that there was a couple upstairs that were basically lights on some sort of columns that were synced up to music, and those are just great. I can't recall the names, unfortunately, but
no worries. Matt Schreiber's piece upstairs, the laser installation, I really liked a lot too.
Okay, the one that people were like holding like prisms and stuff up to,
nuts,
and kind of interacting with. Yeah, that was really cool. Can we expect you to be at Day for Night next year?
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I think that we will continue to find ways to be involved in the future. Whether it's we have a piece there or we're providing some kind of other support to the vessel. Definitely something that we want to keep doing.
Yeah. Did you what do you so you guys have some stuff coming out soon, but it's not public?
Yeah, not yet, but soon.
And okay, interesting. I guess people will just have to check your website. You guys have a ton of stuff on there in your portfolio.
Yeah, and end of January, the BTS capture for Telestron and also a couple other projects will be coming out too. Be on the website.
BTS is the K-pop band?
Not the behind the scenes edits for them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just, somebody was telling me about a K-pop band. I think they're called BTS. I was like, oh, cool. You guys are going international. I'm sorry. What was that the behind the scenes for?
We filmed the entire thing and we're making a film piece out of it too.
For Telestron?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I guess look out for that. Michael, where can people find you online if they're looking for you?
Oh man, you can find me on our website, and also you can find me on social media.
What's your Twitter handle?
I'm not too active on Twitter actually. I kind of the concept.
You're not a Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, that's interesting. Are you sort of? So do you try to stay unplugged?
I try to, but just because I just don't care that much. I think there's a lot more out there. So but I think that Instagram as a platform in the beginning was really, really great. I think it's still great, but I think it's an easy way to find a lot of inspiration and a lot of stuff of what other people are doing.
Yeah, I agree. Anything visual, whether I'm looking for like a digital artist, a tattoo artist, or something like VT Pro, there's just such a wealth of people and putting their work out there on Instagram. So that's really cool. Okay, well, thank you so much, Michael. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come on. And if you need some next level production work done, Go hit up Michael. Go hit up VT Pro.